Hi guys, thanks for checking the video out. Today's video is about the one and only Bryson Dechambeau. You might love him, you might hate him, but you can always talk about him. Yesterday, so at the Open, didn't drive it particularly well. This driver sucks. You may have made that comment before to your friends, but I'm pretty sure the manufacturer isn't paying you to use that club, and I'm pretty sure the manufacturer didn't design the head for you with you in mind. And look, this is just for you. It sucks. Kind of ridiculous. Let's get straight into it. Bryson does this all the time, and I feel like this is the reason why. And this is kind of defending him, or kind of saying this is what it is. In psychology, there's a thing called attribution theory, and this theory states when you do well, you want to take credit for it, and then when you don't do well, you want to put that onto something external. You know, something that isn't in your control. So anything that isn't in your control, that's external. That's got nothing to do with me. Anything that goes well. So an example would be hitting a shot down the wrong line and it taking a really good bounce and going close. Obviously, in that scenario, the bounce is what has allowed you to get close to the hole, but in your psyche, you taking credit for the bounce. And you know, I knew it was going to do that. So can you see over time that builds you up? So there is a lot of good. And like if you're working with an elite athlete, or even if it's just yourself, like a weekend golfer, you want to try and build that. You know, you want to. It's so easy in golf, in particular, to take bad things that are actually out of your control and put it on top of you. It can happen a lot with putting. The problem is when you come out and start saying it. You know, when you actually come out and you start telling people what you're thinking. So that's a good thing if you keep it actually internal, you keep it to yourself. As soon as you start doing it to the public. So the driver sucks and I'm getting flyers. It's like, well, flyers from the rough. It's like, well, everybody's getting flyers from the rough, Bryson. That's the whole concept of rough. If the ball behaved exactly the same from the rough, there would be no point of having rough. And it would make the greenkeepers would just cut fairways for the whole thing. It's so you see, it's very ridiculous when he comes out and says it. But that's me trying to defend him. The other thing that I think has happened, and I might be 100% wrong. Get comments down below. I'd love to hear what you've got to say on the topic. Is I think they have made him use that rad driver, even though they've made it for him. He wasn't using that driver. He was using one of his previous drivers last year, beginning of the season. You got to remember, Bryson is a walking billboard, and when you are a walking billboard, you have to do what you were told. And I think maybe he has been told or asked to use this rad version, and he doesn't like it as much as his other driver. So you have that element to it as well. So that's me kind of not defending him, but trying to kind of maybe try and put some context from a coaching standpoint. You know, but you can't have it both ways, Bryson. You know, and I'm using Koepka not because of their feud. You know, if we take that feud to one side, Koepka does not have a manufacturer, and he can use whatever he wants, and that's how he wants it. And sometimes he'll have an old generation model, sometimes he'll have the new one. He switches them out. I remember I was with the guys at Mizuno, and they just sent him some irons, and then one day they're like, wow, he's using them. You know, they didn't really even have any communication with him. So that's the beauty of being a free agent. If you want to take the almighty dollar, you have to work stuff out. But the other thing, on the flip side of that, is if you're not signed with a company, they're not going to build you clubs to the way that Bryson wants them to be built. Plus with that rad, they came out and said, look, we're making these heads for Bryson. Kyle Berkshire is also, so if you don't know who he is, long drive champion of the world. He is signed with Cobra, so he is using those clubs, and I promise you they're not building them to Kyle's spec, they're building them to Bryson's spec. And Bryson's just coming out, and if you've had the fortune of watching long drivers hit, and you know I've been very fortunate, I've been able to work with long drivers, when they mishit it, because there's so much speed there, even in the sound, at times it sounds like the club is going to break. That's what happens in a collision at that fast. So if you are mishitting, there isn't much you can do. You know, you can blame the face. His comment on spin, you know, oh, it's not the spin. People think it's the spin, it's physics. When somebody adds it's physics and then doesn't lead into it, that's like me saying, I'm the greatest of all time, it's physics. You go, Steve, we need you to backtrack. Where did you, how is physics determine that? You know, if you're spinning it low, and this is what Cobra came out, look, if you want a 5-degree driver, you're spinning it low, and you're swinging at 200, it's going to be hard to keep it in play at a course, Royal St. George, which is renowned for being the tightest of any course on the open rotor, especially because of the way that the slopes on the fairways work. So this isn't a surprise to me. I think Bryson shouldn't have played the match. You know, you're a walking billboard. Yeah, I get it. You're trying to make money, and you can't hate on him for that. But you should have been over in Europe. It's no surprise that you got to links golf and it's confusing you. Look at I'm filming this on day 2 of the Open. Colin Maricao has just shot a 6-under, I believe. First thing he said, well, because I'm driving it really straight, I've been able to attack. So Bryson needs to understand, well, if you're going to try and gouge it out there, you're going to have a round, just like he did in the US Open. You know, first round, misses fairways. He's got a hope for a 36-hole period within the 72 holes where he drives it straight and makes a bunch of birdies that offsets a few mistakes that he's going to have. But he should have played in the Scottish. He should have been over. He should have been getting used to the conditions, coming up with a better plan. And I'm going to leave it here. I'm going to leave it here because you could just talk about this. But this is where I'm going to leave it. I don't think this situation has had a negative influence on Cobra in the slightest, because it's so ridiculous. At no point do you listen to him and go, I bet the Cobra driver is terrible. So it's almost reverse psychology. Like I had no desire to try the Cobra. I've seen it. I work in golf. I've seen it. It's a lovely looking club. I've never had a desire to really go out on the range and try it. You know, I'm obviously happy with my equipment, but I kind of do this morning. I'm like, I wonder how good it actually is, because I bet it's really good. You know, everybody's defending the R&D guy. Everybody's rallying, saying he's one of the best in the business. I'm like, oh, it's probably great. It's a lovely looking club. I'd never really thought about using a Cobra. I might go try one. So maybe this is where there's two things. Either Bryson, just because he always gets the media attention, that's why he is a sponsor's dream. So you have that element. Or Bryson is just Bryson, and he's got the best agent of all time.